You say your football team is an only college. You watched that pro game last night? What an unbelievable ball game.
Everybody, Chris McDonald with you on this Monday night, the 8th day of September, 2025. We're always grateful to have old friends with us, and emphasis on friend, not old, but we've got him on audio Zoom tonight, and Jeemes Akers is with us. We didn't get to have him on last week because we were sort of scrunched for time, but I thought Monday night would be a good night to get him, and we may have him back on again later this week too. Jeemes, good to see you tonight as always, buddy. You are a staple on our show, and I don't mean that like we staple you to the wall. We mean that we mean that in all due respect. We mean that we like you, James. We want you to come back, and you're a regular. So that's what I mean. I'm sure you know that. It's good to see you tonight, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Always a pleasure, Chris, talking to you and your audience.
Same here, buddy. Same here. Listen, I want to ask you, the reason I brought you on tonight, there were a couple of big stories today internationally. The terrorist attack in Israel, I wanted to bring people up to date on that. We talked about it this morning, actually, in our morning Bible study for a brief moment. It had just happened this morning. I think 5 have been killed. That number may have gone up. But Yemen seems to be the source of this. Israel has been going after them with these Houthi rebels. And Hamas is not going to release those hostages. It just seems like Israel's on a treadmill. But, James, it just seems that there is no end in sight to this violence. But that, it sort of keeps, the dynamic keeps changing. When these things happen like this, Israel has no choice but to defend herself, and she's got to go hard at these people. If she don't, they're going to run all over her and destroy her. I mean, it's really sad to see it, but it's the Middle East, man. It's what we get when you get a religion called Islam wanting to destroy the Jews and destroy the Christians and destroy America, don't we?
Yeah, no, it's It's just another stage in this, as you mentioned, just an endless cycle of violence, and it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight to it all. This what with the hostages, we're going on 2 years, right?
Yes.
And it's just Israel's sort of in a hopeless situation. You would like to deal in good faith with people that you can trust, and it's finding itself against reluctant and totally untrustworthy people sitting across from the negotiating table if they can get them to it.
Do you think that this changes anything with Israel's plans in the Gaza, or is this just another fight, another war? Do you think there's more of this coming? We got 9/11 coming up Wednesday. We're gonna have a special on our network about it. It's been 24 years now since that event happened, and but I don't think our 9/11, even as bad as it was, because I'm thinking per capita. I'm thinking about the number of people we've got in this country. We lost 3,000 people. We got 350 million people. But on October the 7th, Israel lost about 1,500 people with injuries and death and so forth. And James, that would have been like 10 9/11s on our side. And they're not going to forget that date either. And the world wants them to forget it, but Israel can't forget it, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't forget it either. I'd go after the people that were responsible, and that's what they're doing. Do you believe they've handled themselves properly in this? I don't see anything else they could have done.
No, they're just between a rock and a hard place when it comes to finding any sort of meaningful resolution to all of this. And of course, you have the families of those hostages that are understandably anxious and, blaming Netanyahu and the government. But really, what are they supposed to do? If they go into Gaza and clean house, there will be all sorts of international condemnation for them, trying to bring a military solution to it. And so it's just tough times ahead in the Middle East. No matter how you slice it and dice it, and of course America's is in a tough position. I'm sending out a missive either tonight or tomorrow that's looking at all the implications of that military parade in Beijing last Wednesday, where you had Putin and the North Korean leader that were gathering, and the weaponry that China displayed in that military parade was stocked full of AI enhanced technology, from undersea drones to a drone swarm capable aircraft and reconnaissance aircraft. There was a wonderful article in the New York Times about it. And so, I addressed that in this missive. And then you have that weird statement by, as they're walking up to the platform, that conversation between Putin and Xi Jinping about immortality and people living 150 years, and everything that's being accomplished in the biogenetic realm. And, these guys will push every button to extend their lives because they think they are indispensable to the future of the regimes. And so you have these gathering clouds of this axis of evil against the United States, and they're starting to thump their chest quite a bit. And Trump's not even invited. He sends a sort of a nasty gram to them all, and it is just I mean, uh, uh, if you and I weren't born again believers and sort of anticipate things going sour here as we get closer to the return of Christ, I mean, it's there. The clouds are looking sort of gray everywhere you look internationally these days. I had a good friend that just sent me a note. He is convinced that we may be going to war in October, and cites Finland's calling up of the reserves and a number of other things that are going on right now beneath the surface, and it is just an increasingly dangerous world. At the same time, this country has never been so fractured. We got this Venezuela thing. You've got all of these other things going, all these moving parts with the military, and everywhere you look is a dangerous neighborhood these days, the Middle East included. Well, I've got a real good friend that's has never seen a conspiracy he didn't like. That's reportedly there are some sources out there that are saying that in the last couple weeks, the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, the United States has sold on the order of a quarter to a third of all of its gold reserves. You're not going to read that anywhere. And the idea is that with all this cryptocurrency and everything else that's starting to come to fore these days, that there may be an attempt to just absolutely do away with fiat currency in this country. And even though we talk about that in the abstract quite a bit, we may see that sooner than later. And man, there are just all sorts of scary implications with all of that. Well, there are dangerous signs everywhere in the alliance. You have elections coming up in Germany as well, I need to check this out. But I had a friend that sent a message to me that 10 of the most prominent members of the German opposition party have been either killed or committed suicide over the last few days. So you have problems in Germany, which is in terms of its economy, sort of the bulwark of the European alliance. You have problems now in France. You have UK that's steadily slipping into an uncertain orbit when it comes to foreign affairs, especially when it comes to their stand on the Middle East. And I'm telling you, there are just some strange things going on right now. No, the government went down with a vote of no confidence with Macron's handpicked guy to sort of steady the ship is gone, and France. It looks like to me, I don't see anybody on the horizon that can provide the answers France is going to need. So I think they are entering into a period of political instability with the forces of the far left and the far right both, vying for power there. And it's not like we haven't seen chaos and unrest in France historically. And with all of these, we have a debt problem. France has an unbelievable debt problem, and any effort to balance the budget, is absolutely turned down by the people. So it's a tough situation in France tonight. Yeah, the history of Yemen in the modern era is that Yemen is a hotbed. I mean, a hotbed of Muslim radicalism, and so it's another case of where Israel thought they had decapitated the leadership, and if you go down two or three layers, sometimes what you get is worse than what you killed, and so Yemen is going to be a problem. The Saudis years ago were taking on Yemen and trying to neutralize it and rid it of these radical elements. But they failed, and they show no inclination now to do it, especially if Israel will take care of the problem for them. And the United States, of course, is involved in terms of maritime activities in the Red Sea and the like.
Yeah.
But uh, this is not, what I'm saying is, for those that study the history of the Middle East, this is not a unique situation where Yemen causes problems. It has been a source of these types of problems for years and years and years.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Folks, we're sorry about the sound. I had the sound muted on my mic for a few minutes. Our apologies. James was the one you wanted to hear anyway. All I did was ask him the questions he answered. we're going to play a game tonight. Name that question. How about that? And that'll get you thinking. A new McFile game show. Name the question the host is asking because they can't hear him. So you answered the question. I'll let them figure out the question itself. We were talking about Yemen. We were talking about Israel. Why is Yemen attacking Israel? And also the Macron government. And our apologies for our mic. We will get this right. It's a Monday night. It's Monday Night Smack. And, things happen on live TV. More than you'll ever know. But listen, let me ask you this about this horrendous attack in Charlotte. I want to turn our attention to more domestic issues tonight and the crime situation here in America. And Jeemes, it's a shame. This Ukrainian girl had been sitting down on this train, and she was swiping her phone, and this black guy behind her basically comes right up behind her, slits her throat, literally, and stabbed her to death. And the Gateway Pundit is reporting tonight that that this magistrate judge, Teresa Stokes, released this career criminal. He was a career criminal to Carlos Brown months before he brutally stabbed Ukrainian refugees because he made her a quote-unquote promise. And these judges are absolutely, they are going to send this country on a one-way ticket to hell, James. They are going to send us on a one-way ticket to hell. There's a federal appeals court tonight that upheld this E. Jean Carroll fraudulent lawsuit against Trump, $83 million, claiming he defamed her. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. It just doesn't seem there's any end to this lawfare, and there's no end to this. And then this happens in our nation. Charlotte, North Carolina is not the Bronx, New York. This is not Baltimore. This is not D.C. This ain't Chicago, man. This is Charlotte, North Carolina. It's just to our east here, about 4 hours. And the Democrat governor is now all of a sudden calling for more police. It's a little late, isn't it? He should have had police already in the city. That's what you get when you get Democrat leadership not taking care of crime, correct?
That's right. No, yeah, I mean, you have to feel for that young lady's family. This was about as brutal a murder, and it's all caught on tape. The whole thing has been filmed. I've seen several replays of it tonight. And then you have the left that are saying, gee, I hope we don't go too far with all of this and make it like a racial issue and this, that, and the other. And I'm with you that we have got in this country, we have to have rule of law that prevails over this lawlessness. We've had over 80 days of riots in Portland.
Yes, that's right.
And the police can't even control the streets because they don't have any backup from the city administration there. And you just everywhere you look, it's just this spirit of lawlessness just appears to be taking over, and the courts are not doing anything about it.
Do you hold this judge responsible? Because if this kid was a career criminal and she let him out, James, there was a movie out, it's been almost 30 years ago now. It's 95, so it's 30 years ago, called The Devil's Advocate. And look, I don't put stock in Hollywood, but it is so weird that the storyline of that movie basically was Al Pacino played the devil, Keanu Reeves played a lawyer, and in the discussion in the movie, the character that played Satan told him, he said, we're going to release every criminal that we can on the streets so that, and he pointed his finger to heaven and used an expletive and blasphemed God doing it. And he said, we want him to destroy this earth because of the violence. And the insinuation was that if we can make the earth as corrupt as it can, then God will bring destruction to mankind. And I know that that's Hollywood, but James, I see a lot of that going on with these judges. It's like they are bending over backwards to put the criminals on the street and bending over backwards to basically persecute and destroy the victims and not give the victims any voice, man. That's messed up. Is it not messed up to you?
Well, yes, it is. But, I mean, I'm on one side of the political spectrum, and judges coming out of law schools today, by virtue of the way law is taught in this country, they are on the other side. And even if you go back, and we've had this discussion before, if you go back into the Old Testament and Israel during the time of judges, the judges became so incredibly corrupt.
They did.
That they were an insult to God. And
Right.
We are fast approaching that point in this country. You already have the specter when it comes to federal courts. You have everybody with a cause and with a cadre of lawyers that are shopping to see which federal court they can bring a case in that would be favorable to their viewpoint. It's as though there is no longer an objective standard to the rule of law, which is one of the really strong points this country has enjoyed since its founding. And now everything is politicized. And I saw an interview with one of the on Fox tonight. They had one of the Supreme Court justices, Amy Coney Barrett, I think's her name, has just brought out a new book. And so she was trying to explain the dynamics of what is going on in the Supreme Court. And you have sort of this unrealistic, that somehow law is pure and people are going to pursue, I call it the Perry Mason syndrome, that there will be justice in the end will prevail in the American legal system. And it's just not that way. We are slipping into an era.
That's so true.
For a long time, the Supreme Court was the final bastion of sort of legal common sense. Even when it drifted to the left, there was still a rule of law that prevailed, and we are losing every sense of a righteous rule of law, a justice-based rule of law in this country, and it now has become, can you afford the best lawyers, to bring a case and shift the narrative in the direction you want it to go in the courtroom. And it was never designed to be that way.
Do you see any changes coming in that? Because we can't keep going down this road, can we not? I mean, James, we're going to lose our society if we don't have justice, man. It's one of the, look, fair elections, a fair judicial system, and a closed border, to me, are the three foundational things of all societies that survive and all empires that survive. We've got none of those three right now fully. Now, Trump's helping on the border, okay? He's doing as much as he can. I think he's doing what he can about the elections. But this judicial situation, he seems to be powerless at stopping these judges. And when you see this situation where this innocent girl, she couldn't been no more in her 20s, 25, maybe 30, she loses her life as a Ukrainian refugee. If she was over here illegally, evidently. And so she had a right to be here. So this guy just, takes his knife out, stabs her to death. And there's stories circulating all over X tonight of his criminal background. And I'm telling you, this judge has blood on her hands. But she's not the only one that does, James. And I don't see how we can keep going down this road, buddy. Because we're going to lose the fiber, man. You lose the fiber, the foundation gets destroyed. As the Bible says, what's the people going to do? There ain't going to be any people.
Yeah. No, scoot over on that soapbox because I'm right there with you. There has to be, the legal community has to give up this whole notion of politicization, going to the best lawyers and handpicked judges, and we need to get back to a basic foundation of law that looks to justice instead of various political equities.
Do you hold these mayors and governors responsible too? Because it is a pattern. And look, I'm the worst. I put it like this: I don't worship parties. I vote conservative. I vote Republican. I wouldn't vote for a Democrat if HE double toothpick froze over. I wouldn't vote for a Democrat in a million years. But you can't keep escaping this fact that a lot of this crime, James, has happened in these progressive cities run by Democrat mayors. You got Muammar Zandami tonight that he is continuing to threaten Israel. He said if he gets elected, he's going to remove Israel bonds from the city. And, he'll say that today, and then tomorrow he'll go back out and claim that he didn't mean that anti-Semitically. And this is where we're headed, man. But it goes back to leadership, does it not? And this progressive female mayor of Charlotte and this governor of New York were far left. And when you get far left people running your city and you don't believe that the police are needed to protect your city, Jasmine Crockett tonight, do you know what she said? In a crazy list of things, she says that the police are not there to stop crime; they're there to solve crime. In other words, by her judgment, that the police are not supposed to do anything to prevent crime. After the crime's committed, that's what their job is to go investigate it. That's the most stupidest in a list of stupid things that comes from a list of stupid people and moronic Democrats.
No,
there's my soapbox number 2.
I don't stay up late at night thinking about what she says. She's flip-flopped over the years so many times on issues, depending on what kind of audience she can gin up. So, but the main point is that this country, founded in principles of God, and our legal system was specifically founded on a Judeo-Christian legal foundation. We are slipping away from that. There is no sense of justice and integrity taught in law schools anymore. It's all about political narratives and agendas, and how you can address those in a courtroom. And my friends, our culture and our society is in trouble. There's just no two ways about it. And one of the most obvious signs is, you mentioned the 3 pillars of society a while ago, is that the legal system starts to lose the confidence of the people.
I'll agree with that. Buddy, we've been going a little while. I'm going to keep it about the 5-10 minutes. I do want to ask you about your thoughts. We may even get you back on Thursday night. We're going to have a big Thursday night special about 9/11. 24 years later, people, there's some kids out there, James wasn't even born when 9/11 happened. But for a majority of us in this country, we all were there. And that day will stick with me till the day I die. I was so close to it. I was actually in Logan Airport the day before it happened. And I was in Boston Harbor that Sunday night. Never will forget it. I was on a whale watch. And I remember seeing those planes fly out of Logan. And I was sitting on that boat. And if you've ever been to Boston Harbor and those planes take off, when they fly over that harbor, you literally think, it feels like when you see them that you can just stick your hand up and touch them, because that's how close they come over the atmosphere in that harbor. And I remember that night thinking to myself, if one of these planes flew into a building, God, what tragedy would that be? What destruction could these things cause if they were, flown into a building? And I don't know if that was just the Lord giving me a heads up of what was coming 2 days later, but I tell you, this country was never the same. But what scares me tonight is I don't think that we have forgotten it. That's not what scares me, but what scares me even more is that we have forgotten who did it to us. And we have turned them into our friends, and they're still our enemies, man. And you can't play with the devil. You can't play with a rattlesnake. And as I heard somebody say, eventually you're going to keep playing with the devil, and the devil's going to come home with you. And I'm afraid that we're at this 24 years later, James. The threat is worse tonight than it was 24 years ago, but I don't know if we understand that tonight. And even us on the right, I know that we say we do. I don't know if we do or not. I really don't.
No, it's been a few years since I've been in the college classroom, but I was a visiting professor. This is probably now 6 or 7 years ago. And in a history class towards the end of the semester, I started talking about 9/11 and what happened there. And I remember looking out at that class of college students, and it was like I was looking at a collective set of eyes, looked like deers in the headlights. They had no clue what I was talking about. We do not teach history anymore. The lessons of 9/11 for our younger people has been completely lost. Completely lost. They have no idea what it was, the importance of it, who caused it, what was behind it, and they are just totally in the dark. And so for us dinosaurs, one of the events that really shaped our perspective of world events is totally lost on the younger generation, and that is a scary thought, my friend.
Is it safe to say that you mentioned that history not being taught has been deliberate, that they have deliberately kept this from the kids? Because, you've got some kids that they've never heard of the Holocaust. You say the Holocaust, they say, what is that? And you've got some teachers denying the Holocaust. You've got political leaders denying the Holocaust. They deny 9/11. And to bring it up, it's racist, it's bigoted, it's Islamophobic. And I hate to tell the world, I hate to tell the Dems, and I hate to tell the woke left that it was not 12 Europeans that flew those planes into those buildings, or 13 hijackers, or whatever the number was. But they weren't European white folks, James. They were Islamic. And I can't change that, neither can you. And it's amazing to me, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound, I can see the individuals out there now that salivate every word we say sometimes so they can do their little moronic stuff. But anyway, it seems to me that every time there's black on black crime, there's Islamic crime with terrorism. Whenever the situation in Charlotte, the black man attacking the Ukrainian refugee, the left out there tonight is not mentioning that. They don't mention his violent past. They're almost insinuating that the girl, that this was just, he was from a poor neighborhood, or he was from a poverty-stricken home, so we need to give him a little slack. No, we don't need to give him a slack. I'll tell you what we need to give him. We need to give him the electric chair, okay? And you take a life, you kill somebody in this nation, I could give less what color your skin is. I don't care. But you can't escape the fact that the crime and the terrorism are linked together. And most crime, James, and most terrorism, I'll just use terrorism in this world, most of it, 90% of it, 95% of terrorist attacks go back to the feet of Islamic terrorists. You can't escape that.
Yeah, no.
Is that saying that too? Is that too strong? Is that too simplistic? You call a duck, it's a duck, right?
That's right. No, I agree with you. I went there for a while. I was going around to various groups and lecturing, giving presentations on the future Islamic threat. And part of it was a demographic argument. The Muslim portion of our population is the fastest growing group. They are taking over cities. By 2050, there are all sorts of projections that there will be Muslim majorities in almost all of the major cities in this country.
There will be.
And there are political ramifications to all of that, to that dynamic. And so we are laying the groundwork for a huge problem in this country because of our naivety when it comes to the Muslim world and the teachings of the Quran. So going back to my point, I was addressing like a Lions Club or something like that in a city in the South, and you would have thought that I was the enemy when I mentioned these things and the problems we're going to face in the future. I had 4 or 5 people in there that just absolutely turned on me. And it's just absolutely incredible how blind, particularly the left is, to a threat that's looming over the horizon.
I couldn't have said it better, buddy. And I tell you, Jason Miller, good to see you tonight, Miller. He says something very intriguing there. He says that after 7 years, it only took us 7 years after 9/11 to elect a Muslim president. It says a lot about our country, don't it? You would have thought that we would have learned a lesson, but we didn't. We let the fox in the hen house, did we not? Because if you think about it, Jeemes, the push against America from the inside out really started with Obama. And I'm not laying it all at his feet, but he brought a lot of this. He opened the floodgates to a lot of this when we stupidly elected him in '08. And I'm not saying I wanted Hillary Clinton, but we elected a silver fork-tongued devil. A silver fork-tongued devil in 2008. And we elected his protege in 2020.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big Obama fan either. And I do remember I was in the embassy in Singapore during these years, and a cab driver engaged me in a conversation. He said, "How can Americans possibly vote for anybody but Obama?" You know, and I said, "Well," I said, "there's a significant portion of the American populace that has very good reasons for not voting for Obama," and it was just incomprehensible to him. And it is all this politically correct narrative that I remember sitting with a friend of mine. We were talking about political issues, and I said, my fear of Obama is that he is a wolf in lamb's clothing. That once he gets into power, he is going to turn the narrative in a way that we haven't seen in this country for years. And that's exactly what happened.
He did.
That is exactly what happened. And there were a significant portion of our population that were well-meaning, thought that they were electing a moderate, that it was progressive. It was about time we had a black man in office. They had been psychologically prepared for that for several TV programs. I remember 24 was popular during those years, and they had 2 or 3 years where there was a black president, and he was a very sympathetic figure, always making the right decisions, and this, that, and the other. And so we were prepared. The American populace was prepared for an Obama type figure. And my problem with Obama is that he was a penniless street organizer before he was elected to Congress, and then subsequently the president of the United States. And now he is wealthy enough to buy the the most expensive pieces of real estate in Hawaii, the most expensive pieces of real estate in Georgetown, in Washington D.C., and you know, he did awfully well by doing a political service to this country, and he is like, nobody wants to touch the guy in terms of the corruption that unfolded while he was president of this country.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Zella makes a good point. He claimed he was Christian, and James, I got to say this, and she was sort of, she took my thought away, but I was going to say the sickening thing about Obama was the number of Christians that got bedoozled by him, because he pushed himself as a Christian when he was a raging Muslim on the inside. What does that say about the discernment of this nation and its church? What does it say about people? Because you know what it gives me thoughts about is that there's a man of sin that's on the horizon. He's coming. And whether people want to believe that or not in their eschatology, that's up to them. But the Bible is as clear as day that there's one coming that is going to deceive not just Israel, but he is going to deceive the whole world into thinking he's a man of peace when he is going to unleash unspeakable evil. Unlike any time we've seen in history, Jesus himself said it. There's never been a time like it in the past, never been a time like it in the present, and there will never be a time like it in the future, like those 7 years that he will encompass as leader of the Middle East first, but he will seek world domination. But James, if we can't see a wolf in sheep's clothing, and Barack Obama and most people with a brain saw this man for the evil that he was, most people saw Hillary Clinton for the evil she was, and Joe Biden for the evil they were. And then the same people that couldn't see Obama, these same Christians, they hate Trump. They absolutely hate Trump because they don't like his personality, and they've got the same blinders on, and they can't come to believe that God is using President Trump to at least fix some things. I don't look to Trump as my savior. He can't save this country. It's going to take far more than 4 years of Trump to save this nation. It's going to take a Holy Ghost revival. It's going to take God himself intervening and divinely intervening. And if he don't, James, me and you, I don't know where the future holds, but our nation's in serious trouble. And, you say it, and I'll let you wrap it up on this. Every time I've got you on this show, you've always said it. You're not worried so much for yourself, because me and you, I'm a few years behind you, but we're on the downside of things. And but I got 4 precious grandchildren, and you got grandchildren. And you say this to me all the time when you're on this show. It's them that you're concerned about, if the Lord tarries. Because we're sliding down this slope, brother. I don't want to think what my grandkids and Kathy's grandkids, we got 6 between us. And I don't want to consider what they're going to be facing 20 years from now if the Lord tarries that long. Because Chris may or may not be here. And I won't be there to be a voice of reason to my grandkids. They're going to be at the whim of their parents and this crazy, messed up, looped up world. And sadly, a looped up, messed up, meth-induced church. That scares me even more than the church itself. What say you about that, buddy? I think we just lost James. Hang on just a second. Let's see here if he'll come back. Give me 1 minute here. I'll give him a few minutes. I'll just talk to you from here, see if he can come back. But let me refresh. There we go. I can't bring my camera. I'm gonna have to do this. Let me see if James, his phone may have died. But I'm going to, if he can't come back, I'll come back and do live. If you got a question or two tonight, I want you to put it in. I really wanted him to wrap us up. Let's see if he can come back in and give us 1 minute here. There we go. He is coming back. All right. We've just had all sorts of boogeymen on this Monday Night Smack, haven't we? There he comes. He's about to come back in. There he is. We got him back. And, buddy, we got you back. Good to see you. And I'm going to let you wrap us up, man.
Okay, I apologize, Chris.
That's okay. No, that's okay. It happens, man. It happened on this Zoom. It does. It's fine.
My phone went absolutely dead.
It's fine. They're used to this. This is Monday Night Smack Live, McFiles. If there was not some kind of technical audio, Zoom, or technical issue, they would think aliens had abducted me, and come into my body if the show went without a blip. So you're okay. You're right at home. Trust me, this is McFile Monday night. So we're good. We've been doing this 8 years, brother, 7 years. So we're used to it. No worries. Wrap us up, though. I don't know what part when I lost you there, I was talking about your grandkids. Tell us how you feel as we wrap this up about the future, because that's who I'm concerned about is our grandkids, buddy.
Yes, this, historically, this great American federal experiment has about, if you factor in the exponential nature of time and the shortening of empires, we are about to the end of the American empire, and everything I look at today starts to give indications of that. And of course, we know that sort of thing has to happen as we move towards the end of time. This whole spirit of lawlessness that seems to be taking over. And I always tell the audience, God sees the end from the beginning. He's not shaking on his throne. There is a different way of judgment for nations than there is for individuals.
Very true.
And I would encourage everyone to get your spiritual house in order, to be in prayer for this country and the leaders of this country, and their ability to stand in the face of growing evil, and that is what is going to preserve you and I, is our ability to stand after we pass from this world and answer to God as individuals. We're not going to answer as members of a group, members of a church, or anything else.
That's right.
We are going to answer as individuals.
That's right.
And
that's right.
And in America, we have to have a return to the values that made this country great, and those values are rooted in Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. And until there is widespread recognition, we talked about 9/11 a little while ago. There was just a very short period of time when everybody was really religious. You know what I'm saying? During those days, and that quickly passed as people began to act more like the world than citizens of the heavenly kingdom. And we need to get back to that, and our leaders need to get back to that, and we need to pray that a way is opened for them to do that. So that common sense will prevail again in this country, and it can be the great country that I remember growing up in. I want that country for my grandchildren, and that dream is just slipping away.
Buddy, I couldn't say it better, and that's why we love having you on. Listen, I want to thank you for being with me, and I want you to hang loose. Because end of this week, Thursday night, we're going to have a lot of guests on to talk about 9/11. I may get you back on then. To sort of make up for us not having you last week, we'll get you twice this week because we're going to have a full week of shows. But I want to thank you for being with me tonight. And listen, I'm going to let you go. And thank you for taking your Monday night football time to come talk to me, and we're always grateful to have you, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you into September, okay? And
It sounds good, Chris, and it's always a privilege, and I count it as an honor and a privilege to be with you, and thank you for the opportunity.
the honor is ours, buddy. And we appreciate you. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.
Blessings.
Blessings, everybody. Jeemes Akers, everybody. Put some fire in that house. We are so grateful for him tonight. That is a good man. And I tell you what, there is no better guest than Jeemes Akers. We got a lot of great guests. There ain't none of them more important than the others. But I tell you, he just, we had James on a couple of years ago, and he's been hitting home runs every time he comes on. And I've got to meet him in person, him and his lovely wife. They came to the Hills last year, and it was such an honor to meet him. And I went to a baseball game with him. We're going to try to do that. The baseball season's winding down, so we're going to try to squeeze one in before the year's out. But we're good. We become good friends, and I appreciate what he had to say. I do want to read something Cleo sent me, and I agree with what she's saying here, and I'll just read it. She says, Obama is Muslim loving out of expediency. He has never claimed to be a Muslim, and he's only denied it. He said his mother was Christian, and his father was a non-practicing Muslim. She says part of the deception was sucking up to Christians by attending church in Chicago a lot prior to 2008, and of course that was Jeremiah Wright's church. Godless Marxism is his religion, and I really couldn't agree with that more. And folks, you think about Jeremiah Wright, that alone should have been a red flag. If you just did, and Father Flagel or whatever this crazy priest is in Chicago, if anybody would have done any research, the man started his campaign at Bill Ayers' house, a known terrorist, an avowed terrorist. It blew up with Bernardine Dorn, part of the Weather Underground in Chicago, that was famous for bombings and shooting police officers and killing them. Duh. Ding, 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 ding. But you had Christians by the score. We lost friendships. I got a friend right now. I don't know even where they're at these days. They lived over in South Carolina, and they said some of the most vile things about Sarah Palin, and I just stopped talking to them. And I wasn't ugly, but I just said, if that's how you feel, we probably need to go separate ways. But they were swearing up and down that Obama was the Messiah, and their church believed it, and their church preached it. You didn't have to go deep. You didn't even have to dig deep to look at his pastor to know what kind of theology he had. But Christians got sucked into it, just like Christians get sucked into a lot of things. And they follow individuals, just like Obama. And they hate people like Trump. They call good evil, and they call evil good. They call light darkness, and they call darkness light. They attribute that which is of God to Satan, and they attribute that which is of Satan to God. We call that blaspheming the Holy Spirit. That's exactly what Israel did of old. For you Bible students, you should tip the hat and say, Amen, Mr. Chris. We've been talking about that. Anyway, good to see you here at Hunter tonight. If you got any statements, Zella, your question, you said it's spiritual darkness and blindness. It is baffling. But it is there. And it is there, absolutely. Joan says hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. Joan, hindsight is 2020. But you know what's scary to me, John? I wonder if Obama was able to run again, how many would vote for him again? I don't have a lot of faith in the electorate of the United States of America. I just don't have a lot of faith in the electorate. That's why we as believers, that's why we go vote. That's why we better get to those polls and vote. It's why we better get to those polls and vote. We better get to those polls and vote like we've never voted before in these midterms. Um, Good to see Jason Rankin in the house. We got some guests coming of Jason's, hopefully this week or next. We got Jay Sixers. The wife was arrested. If you got anything to say, Lane says he was a raging communist. Both of his parents and grandparents were communists. That's what at least we've been told, Elaine. I guess that's easy to find. Roger Hooker says it's hard to believe a communist Muslim is about to take over New York City. Roger, he is, and right now, there is no stopping this Mandami train unless something really happens here at the end and people come to their senses. He is leading in every single poll. And it's not just leading, he is trouncing Cuomo and he's trouncing Adams. They're not even in the ballpark. And this kid has come out of nowhere. He reminds me a little bit of Obama. You know, before 2008, I had I guess it was 2006. There was a ministry here in town. They called me up one day, and we got to talking. Bush was in the second term. It was right after Katrina, and the country was in a mess, and people hated Bush like a passion. Bush went out of office with a 20% approval rating, worst approval rating of any president since Harry Truman that left office. And country was ripe. It was ripe for pickings. And this person told me in 2006, they said, you better watch a man by the name of Barack Obama. I'd never heard of him. I wasn't following politics as strongly as we do now with the show, with the advent of the show. But they told me that day, they said, there's a state senator out of Illinois named Barack Obama that is far left. And Roger, I'll use your term, communist Marxist, and Cleo's term, she's right, godless Marxism. And very rabid abortion, rabid left, rabid communist thinking. There was so many stories circulating about him, and I could get into the tawdry stuff, and I don't want to tonight, not publicly. But it's out there. And my brother, I remember my brother a year before the same time, it was around the same time that he began to start the primary. And see, at that time, it was a shoo-in that Hillary Clinton was going to be the predecessor, the next one, because she had basically, Bill had, his protege, Al Gore, got thumped by Bush Jr. He'd been in there 8 years, and Hillary saw it right for the pickings that this was her time. And if you don't think Obama's a slick weasel, he made a deal with her in the back room. He said, if you lose, I'm going to make you my Secretary of State. And we got Benghazi, and we got the tarmac, the video, and all that junk, and the Russia reset, and all sorts of craziness, the Clinton Foundation, Haiti, all sorts of corruption that you wouldn't believe as Secretary of State with Clinton. But Obama came out of nowhere. Most of us had never heard of him. And I look at Mandami. I had never heard of this guy until 3 months ago. This kid is as dangerous a candidate as we have ever had in this nation, folks. And Roger, your point is well taken. He is on the brink. He's on the brink of taking over the biggest city, not just in America, folks. New York City is the biggest city in the world. In the world. And not good. Not good. I want to show you one video tonight. I got some other videos. We're going to play more tomorrow night, depending on who we got as a guest. I know we've got Marcia Montenegro coming Wednesday night, and we've got, I'm not sure who we got Thursday night. Thursday night, we're going to have a very special show because we're going to be talking about 9/11. But I want you to look at this video. This is off of the Gateway Pundit tonight. This is a little warning, heads up. If you're a little squeamish, you might want to turn away. This is for those that are not squeamish. But this is the raw video off that train in Charlotte. This is the suspect. Her name, the girl that got killed was Irina Zatuska. And I'm sorry, I probably murdered her name. But I want you to listen to what he said after he killed her. Roll the tape. If this will play. Hopefully it will play. Let's see if we can refresh that. There's the judge. There's the wonderful judge that released this man months because he made her a promise that bludgeoned or stabbed this girl. Here's that video if we can get it. I may have to just do it on X and find it on X. Sometimes Gateway Pundit puts those videos on their pages and they don't work. And that one's not working. Give me 1 minute and I'll download this real quick and I'll just play it from here. And where did that go? Well, they took it off. That's what they did. It was taken down. Oh, there it is. Give me a minute. Give me 1 second. And I will, hang on just 1 second. And we will get it for you tonight. If you got any other questions, go ahead, put them in. I got a few more minutes. We're going to wrap this up here in just a second. And then we're going to be back tomorrow night. We're going to have a week full of shows. Including Friday night this week. We'll be maybe late a few nights, but this is Charlotte. And I want you to watch this video, folks. Very disturbing. And we've got more coming. Let me hit refresh. And there's the video. I want you to watch this and listen carefully to what this monster says. There's the moment. He's saying, I got that white woman. And I think that could be the blood on the... Good Lord have mercy. That's him right there. I got that white woman. I got that white woman, that white girl. And that's the video. I got a question for you tonight. Do you believe that's a death penalty case? I do. That's a hate crime. That's a hate crime. And he don't need to be getting out of jail free card. He needs to be going to the electric chair for that. That's premeditated murder. That's just my opinion. I'll let you chime in on that. That's the violent country that we live in, folks. That is the violent country that we live in. Carol Smith says, at what point will people take the law into their own hands if police can't protect them? Carol, that is what they want. That is what they want. They want us to do just that. That's the whole purpose of this show, this circus. They want us to take to the streets because if we do that, you got vigilantism and you've got chaos and you've got martial law. You've got martial law. And I'm afraid that that's eventually where we're headed. And that's not going to be any better than the police not doing their job. It's a perfect storm. It's a perfect storm, and I don't have the answer at what point, but we're headed down that slope, buddy. We're headed down that slope. Good to see you tonight. Good to see you tonight. Anyway. Alrighty. Good to see everybody tonight on this Monday Night Smack. We hope you've enjoyed the show. James Akers was on fire, and we're grateful for him. And Chris Davis says, yes, it's a hate crime, and Democrats are the most racist people ever. Janet, he was arrested. I'm sure he was back in prison. I hope he needs to be. The collapse of America is underway. Roger, I'm not going to disagree with that, and it is a hate crime. And folks, let me just say this about the Democrat Party. They're the party of the KKK. They are the most racist party out there. And it's disturbing. We're going to talk about all this tomorrow night. What I'm waiting for, and this is what we'll deal with tomorrow night, I can't wait for the media's reaction to all this. Because just give it 24 hours. There'll be a 24-hour news cycle starting tomorrow. I mean, by tomorrow, it'll be 24 hours worth of news on it. Watch how the media handles it. Watch how the media handles it. It's like a classic, textbook, fake news, left-wing, woke media. They're going to ignore this man's race, and they're going to ignore his criminal history. They will find a way to twist this and blame society for this man, when it's not society's fault. It's just the devil. He's demon-possessed. And he needs spiritual deliverance, but he needs to be in jail tonight. And as bluntly as I can say it, if I was a prosecutor, I'd seek the death penalty in that case. I'd seek the death penalty. But that's just me. That's just me. All righty. Jeannie Castellanova, I have not even got to play the Sherlock Holmes.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
That's elementary, my dear Watson. So I'll play it now. That is elementary, my dear Watson. Gail, I would hope that he knows it was wrong. It's scary to think if he didn't know it was wrong. But he was bragging. He killed a white girl. She was Ukrainian, but that was his motive. We call that hate crimes. And I don't know why Facebook hides some of these comments. Chris, you said the judge is accountable for her murder as the guy is. I totally, 1,000%, 1,000,000% agree. The judge has blood on her hands. He shouldn't have been walking the streets. And I've not even got to the specific stuff that's all of a sudden surfacing on X tonight. I encourage you to go on X. It's a good source. There's a lot of conservative voices there. There's certainly a lot of liberals. It's not an echo chamber, but there's no censorship there. We've had our account restored, and we're trying to get our following back, and we're getting there, some slowly, but we're getting it. And at the McFiles 45. And but if you want to hear the absolute truth of the details of this killing, go to X. There's some things already surfacing tonight about this kid. He was a monster. He should have never been on the street. Totally agree. The judge has blood on her hands. Nothing to be done to her, but she's guilty. She's guilty as he is. Totally agree with that. Charles, good to see you. You know, it's very sad what you're saying, but it's right. This lady tried her best to flee Ukraine for safety, to run into this. What a shame. And I don't think that could be stated any better. What a shame that she comes to this country and is killed on the subway in Charlotte, North Carolina. Totally agree. All right, folks, we're about 10 to 11. I'm going to let you out of here tonight. We've been going right at an hour. I've been on the road today, and we're going to get our energy back, and we're going to get our engines revved back up, and we're going to be back here tomorrow night with guns a-blazing, with the microphone on. Sorry for that. What it is when we Zoom, there are times when the Zoom picks up the microphone for both me and the guest. And then there's sometimes when the guest is speaking, the mic don't pick it up. So tonight the mic was picking up us both, and when I turned it down thinking I was getting vibration, I was turning myself down. So we apologize for the little blip. But we started a new game tonight. Name that question. And anyway. Great show with Jeemes Akers, and we appreciate great to see everybody, and we're grateful that you've been with us tonight. Good to see old Jason Miller. You can't spell media without DEI. Jason, I'll agree with that. God bless you. God bless your family. It's good to see Cleo in the house tonight. And grateful. That's a good comment there she made. It really was. And I totally agree with it. He's a godless Marxist. I got a video, and I got to find it. It's on my one of my laptops. And Patricia White was a prophet back in those days. And I don't know where she's at tonight, but the Lord gave her a word about Barack Obama. And the Lord himself called him a silver fork-tongued devil. And if I can find that video, people were mocking her for that. Christians were mocking her for that, claiming she didn't hear from God about that. I wonder if those same Christians would think that tonight. Until we get the DEI and the wokeness and the backslidness and the blindness out of the church, the country's going to remain in the same state, folks. Because the church has zero discernment on it tonight. The church is going to be led astray quicker than a child with a balloon and candy when the real man of sin appears, because we don't know the difference in good and evil. And I'm going to say it again. We're calling good evil tonight in the church. We're calling evil good. And then we're calling lightness dark, dark lightness. And we are exchanging the truth for a lie. And we are attributing that which is of God to Satan. And we're attributing that which is of Satan to God. That's coming from God's people. At least those that say they're God's people. They're not. They are of their father, the father of lies. I will leave you with that thought tonight. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless this great nation of America. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday night, everybody. It's been good to be with you tonight. Got a long, good week ahead of shows. Please come back and be with us tomorrow night. We'll do it again. Got some great guests this week, hopefully. And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning and then tomorrow night. Put some fire in that house if you enjoyed the show tonight. Monday Night Smack with the Mac. Good night.